Conrad TV, no hearsay. Hey, hey.
Mayday.
It's Conrad TV, no hearsay. Hey, hey.
Mayday.
It's Conrad TV, no hearsay. Hey, hey.
Mayday.
It's Conrad TV, no hearsay. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. One thing is certain, it's gonna be crazy, yo.
Conversational radio TV, just different.
Hey, hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday again on Conversational Radio TV, the only conversational radio television in the country. Ne? Is it the country or is it in the world or is it in Africa or
in the universe? I would say Miss Universe.
Miss Universe. It's Friday. And Conversational Radio TV is about great conversations with great leaders, people that are doing great things in their own different spaces. We want to drive conversations that get people to think differently about themselves, about the opportunities that life has to offer. And also just to look at your environment and look at what opportunities does your environment itself offer. A lot of times I know we make a lot of excuses about why we don't want to succeed. We don't want to be disciplined. We're not determined. And excuses always become excuses. And sometimes you wonder why the country's GDP is looking the way that it is. Now, sometimes we just need to call ourselves to order and look ourselves in the mirror and say, what is it that I want with my life? How am I going to achieve it? Watch your friends, the people that you spend time with, because those individuals, a lot of times where we say, if you are hanging out with 5 losers, you yourself are the 6th loser. Yeah. If you are hanging out with 5 doctors, you yourself are a doctor. Yeah. So, We've just been blessed and honored, man. You know, Mmuso Joe, it's a since schema Joe, it's unkopan salaba to baba fabulous.
Mara Joe.
No, Mmuso Joe, how do I, myself, me, in my small self, sit right opposite a chairperson of Nemisa, a CEO of IX Engineers, young
CEO. It might have been a chief executive officer, but chief executive only.
Chief executive. Now, I don't want to introduce chief executive. Chief executive, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm absolutely honored to have you across social distancing. Yeah?
I'm absolutely honored to be here as well.
Who is this great lady that we are talking to? A listener who's listening now. Who is the great lady sitting across me and Mmuso Matlala?
There we go.
Well, my name is Molebogeng, a.k.a. Leshabane. And I was born in Amojaji, Limpopo province.
Yes, sir.
So I'm part of the Rain Queen, the powerhouse,
Balobedu,
power women,
right?
Balobedu. So that's me. I'm a civil engineer by profession. Hence, I became CEO of IX Engineers. It was not by chance that I'm a civil engineer, I became my CEO. But, God was with me, and I work hard, and I met hardworking people, and we created something big.
What does IX Engineers do for somebody who does not know, and say that I want to be an engineer? What opportunities would there be for me as an engineer?
IX Engineers is basically a multidisciplinary engineering company. So we develop infrastructure projects. So if you open the tap and water comes out, it's because we were part of that. We conceptualized that. We made a dream come true. So we come from the early on stages and we design the whole network, and the contractors will come and build the infrastructure. So most people think engineers are contractors, but actually not.
A lot of times,
so we are the thinking tank behind the infrastructure that you see.
Excuse the pun, thinking tank, water. Listen, so so I read up a bit on IX Engineers, and I think it's innovative. What's the full name again?
Engineering Solutions.
Innovative Engineering Solutions, right? Yeah. So obviously, for your name to have innovative or innovation in it, that means that you guys do things differently. Where does the innovation come in? So how do you do things differently from the next engineering company, that or organization?
So if you look at engineering solutions, they could be wide. So anyone can come up with a solution, but it's not necessarily the best solution. So how we become innovative is, in one, we ensure that it's the most efficient solution for the client, and it's the most cost effective, and it will produce the results faster than what anybody else could do. So, but the other thing we do, we use a lot of technology in terms of how we develop the solution. So from the design process to the materials that we'll recommend that the contractor uses, it's got a whole lot of technology embedded in it, so that the client at the end of the day has got a solution or a product that they could communicate with. So, gone are the days where you have to go to site to find out if there is a best pipe, or not. So you can actually get a notification on your SMS that on this location there's a best pipe, and it gives you an exact location of where it is. So that's where we're going. That's where the innovation comes in. It's the embedding of the technology in what we do.
Now, before we get to all the big technical words, right? I love one thing is that there was a young Oslebo, right? Growing up in the beautiful Limpopo. Now, did you foresee yourself being the Lebo that you are today?
Well, no. Because, then there was not even a TV. There was no electricity. So, no. But,
What did you want to be, actually? When you were 5 years of age and when you were 10 years of age, what was your vision? What did you want to be at that time?
Well, I'll simplify it. So, for all my schooling life, I wanted to be a doctor. Not because I dreamt of being a doctor, because my family said, oh, you got in science, you got in maths, you must be a doctor.
Guys, why is it that all black parents used to want us to be doctors, lawyers? Kind of was doctor, lawyer, and?
Doctor, lawyer.
Yeah, it was like, you're like, but how many opportunities did you So was that coming from the parents, you wanting to be a doctor?
Yes. So my family thought, oh, we don't have a doctor in the family, so you must be the doctor. Until I was in matric and I fell in love. Well, I fell in love with maths in high school. So I wanted to be a mathematician, basically. I just wanted to do maths. I was not interested in anything else. Then my uncle said, no, there are no jobs for mathematicians in South Africa. So think about something else. Have you ever thought of engineering? I'm like, I don't know what engineering is. He said, go research. So I went and researched. I was like, wow, I want to be a civil engineer. So there are different types of engineering careers out there. So, but I selected the civil engineering discipline. And the rest was history. I applied to VETS. They accepted me. And then I went to study civil engineering.
Who was your role model?
I had various role models throughout my journey in life. And my role model for majority of my life was my grandmother. I think she was so full of wisdom, an entrepreneur, and didn't look beyond her means, So, she taught me quite a lot of values, and what I live by today is because of my grandmother. And throughout life, my uncle then became my role model because he was always entrepreneurial in his thinking. And I basically wanted to be one day an entrepreneur, and I told him, look, after I finish varsity, I'm going to work for 5 years, and I'm going to quit my job and start a business.
Come on now.
And, life didn't work out that way, right? Life doesn't always work out according to our plans. So, so basically, different people inspire me, I must say. I always look for the best out of human beings. I believe we all have a unique element that we can all learn from each other. So I'm always looking to learn from people. Elon Musk has been for a long time my role model. I just love the way he thinks and how he comes up with solutions on the spot. He'll be sitting in an Uber and he'll say, oh, why don't I just build a hyperloop for the city? And that's basically what I would love to do one day, just create solutions for everyday challenges.
So I had a look at the board composition, IX, engineers.
Yes.
Right. And the board composition as it is not, its makeup, it's not one that would have confidence in a black female to lead the company.
Yeah.
Where did they find that confidence in you? What is it that made them choose you to become the leader, the executive leader of the business?
So if you look at the engineering industry, right, it's still very much white male dominated.
Yeah.
So my relationship with the current team at IX Engineers spans back from when they were still part of Wally Parsons.
Oh, yes.
So I was running my own engineering firm called Black Hills Engineers, and we became an enterprise development company of Wally Parsons.
Yeah.
And in those meetings, I was always the vocal one, challenging them in ways
Challenging the status quo,
that they
yes.
never imagined. And when they offer me things, I'm like, look, I'm not looking for handouts. I want to add value. And I think that's where the respect came in. They started to understand the label and getting to know the label. I'm always challenging the status quo wherever I am. So they saw value in me to become a leader for the organization. So it was not an overnight thing. It was a relationship that was built over 3 years until then I became the CEO of this.
And obviously being CEO, you are privy to the records of the company.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for putting you on the spot.
Sure.
When were you appointed as CEO?
So the history of IX Engineers really is that it's an offshoot of Wally Parsons.
Oh,
so
okay.
we bought a business division out of Wally Parsons. As you know, Wally Parsons is now Wally. It's a global business.
Okay.
So we bought that business out of Wally and we renamed it into IX Engineers. So I became the first CEO.
The inaugural CEO.
The
right?
noble CEO of IX.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you know, Barna was sitting on a lot of CEO, and one day
Maru CEO. eh?
Ah,
How is he?
No, so you spoke about a very, very critical part for me, and grandmothers. And they told us such great values. And we were celebrating Mother's Day, just a week ago.
Sure.
How did you celebrate your Mother's Day?
With my family. I actually took my kids shopping to buy pajamas on Mother's Day, and
How about regular pyjama?
I was just like, what? Oh, Joe.
and no, they did. No, I got a gift from my family, and but obviously the young ones still wanted to be out. They haven't been out for 2 months, so I decided on Mother's Day, let me give you a treat. We went to Woolies and we bought pajamas. So,
why pajamas?
and because it's winter.
Winter pajamas.
Oh, winter pajama nyana.
Yeah, and we played soccer in the house.
Yeah.
And we had a braai in the evening. So that's how I celebrated Mother's Day. But I called all of my mothers. So I have a lot of mothers, people that pray for me. They encourage me when things are hard. And whenever things are hard, I call on them to say, things are not going well, or when I'm celebrating, I call them to say, hey, this is what is going well. So I contacted all my mothers and I wished them a blessed Mother's Day.
And you're also the chairperson of Nemisa,
Yes.
right? So please tell us what Nemisa is. What does Nemisa stand for?
Yeah.
What its mandate is, and basically what its function is in the broader society.
So Nemisa is an acronym for National Electronic Media Institute of South Africa. So since the beginning of this new financial year, our objective has changed. So the minister gave us a new mandate to be the 4IR Skilling Institute in South Africa.
Yeah.
So our mandate is, number one, is bridging the digital divide.
Yeah.
As you know, our country still has an enormous digital divide, and we've got that task, that very important task, to bridge that gap. And secondly, is to ensure that all public sector employees are digital literate, and they are skilled with the 4R skills to be able to develop and adopt technology in how they do their work. So that is in a nutshell what we do. But our focus is really on the disadvantaged communities and the youth primarily and women. So our focus is to ensure that we reskill the youth to be able to, one, be employable. Because as you know now, a lot of jobs that are being created by the financial sector and a whole lot of sectors are requiring digital skills. So, and secondly, is for the youth to create the small businesses in the digital economy. So we want to ensure. So our role, if we can see our youth being focused on creating technological solutions. Today I was just listening to a webinar on how they have now this mask that could detect the virus. So when you're wearing a mask has got a sensor that can tell you that the area you are in has got a coronavirus or not. So, with the coronavirus now being part of our lives, technology can help us, one, to protect ourselves, and secondly, to understand the virus better. The more data we can collect on the virus, the more we can come up with solutions. So you can use, the bigger the data, you can use machine learning for it to for the computer to start understanding the behavior of the virus and how to ensure that people can better protect themselves from the effects of the corona.
And I want to say something also that, I got to learn a lot about, the different revolutions as they come in, what happens, how many job losses are lost. But you also realize that there are new job opportunities. And I think a lot of times, maybe even our communication to the general public doesn't actually speak to that. And we've been wondering, that, you talk about 4IR, where other countries, like even Elon Musk is talking about 5IR. Where, the first revolution, second revolution, fourth, and so forth. And now we are faced with a great opportunity where we could rescale and we relearn. Now, they give you a call. Hey, Lebs, how you doing? You answer the phone. They say, you know what, we'd like to offer you, a chairperson role maybe, for Nemisa. And he talks about media, it's communication, they train in radio, in film and broadcasting, 2D animation. And that's like outside of the scope. But yet you spoke about innovation, how it's important also to you. When that call came in, what made you just say that, I think I'm going to do this thing?
So I'm a civil engineer by profession. I'm also very passionate about technology. So I have studied a number of courses in the 4R space, including IoT, business analytics, and innovation. So the one other thing I'm passionate about is smart cities. So as
what?
Smart cities.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Okay.
So for me, I felt, look, this could be my contribution to our country in terms of, us being ready, for 4R, but most importantly, being active in the 4R space and stop being consumers and being creators of technology. So if I could be part of that, that will for me be the most fulfilling, not job, but assignment that I could ever do. It's changing people's lives. So I got very excited because I felt I could play a role in getting our country to be more active in this technology space. And if we could drive that and create smart cities and create chips that could control your brain and that could heal you. And I mean, now I heard you can have an embedded insulin in your body if you've got diabetes. And whenever your insulin level reaches a certain a lower level, the insulin automatically injects into your body. So that is all technology. And if we can start creating such solutions as South Africans, it will, for me, will be the ultimate.
From an investment perspective, are we investing enough from a skill set perspective towards people understanding what technology itself is and what technology itself can do? Because we find that obviously you've got the rural markets, you've got the township market, then you've got the urban markets.
Sure.
But technology is advancing very quickly in the urban markets because of this financial resources and investments. How important is it for us, even as a country, to now invest a lot in the rural and township development?
It is very important. You know, the rural and the township markets remain excluded from a lot of investments, especially in technology. And we, as Nemisa, we're saying we would like to drive that. You know, we would like to highlight the importance of having the rural communities and the township communities being actively involved in the 4R space. Including media production, by the way, because you know, now we're in 3D, we have now 4D, we might be having 5D movies soon. So that is also part of our offering or our focus area as Nemisa. So there isn't enough investment, I must say, into the rural and township economy. And the more organizations could invest in those areas, the more value could be unlocked for our country to create another element of GDP contribution. You spoke about the level of our GDP. And, you know, I believe the 4R space or technology could bring a lot of value in terms of growing our GDP.
Because, I mean, Davos, you know, the World Economic Forum spoke about it. It's that the two industries, IT and creative sector, right, aren't going to be the sectors that will be highly impacted, but there'll be so many opportunities that are going to grow. But you find that South Africa, a lot of times we've had a challenge where it comes to the creative industry. Because a lot of time they look at it as a hobby. Yeah, so you're creating Popeye. That's a hobby, right? But not understanding that in Japan, that's like 40%, right, of the global animation economy is in Japan. Then after the second is China, then the US. You know, and how many jobs it's creating. People watch about Superman. You know, they hear the movies, anime movies. They are making billions and billions of rands, right? And even in dollar value. So, and I mean, obviously, we have to applaud a Nemisa for doing work like that. I mean, I'm also in a space like that, you know, understanding that we have to create these platforms in the township, you know, and you really get to see the magic that these kids can create. This is one of our students from the Leaders in Motion Academy. And they create content, they're digital content creators. And they come, they pitch ideas, and they do it. And yet a lot of times people don't know that what you consume every day is content. Listening to radio is content, you know, but the skill sets themselves aren't enough, you know. And
you mentioned that Nemisa's focus, or current core focus, is the disadvantaged in the country. And I don't know if this is a question or a comment, but it must be somewhat of an advantage for you holding the office that you're holding, that is where the focus is coming from, where you're coming, knowing that where you grew up, knowing the challenges, knowing the behaviors, knowing the culture and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a rural girl, so if we could have, you know, the movie that inspired me as well is the Wakanda.
Black Panther.
The Black Panther movie. So that if we can create a Wakanda in each of our rural areas, I mean, it would be really great. You know, but the one other element you mentioned there is the literacy element, because you find a lot of people, especially old age and rural people, are still very digital illiterate. So they're not able to consume the content. They're not able to do online banking, simple things that we
the urbanized kids
we find very simple to do. So that is also one of our key focus areas, is the literacy, because the more people can understand how to use the media platforms or digital platforms, the more the demand can also increase. And the more jobs could be created in people developing various apps or solution or platforms for commercialization.
Now, Talebza, where do you find the time? You know, I hear Chairperson, CEO, you're a mom. You're a friend, you're a daughter, you've got many moms.
Yeah.
Where do you find the time to do all these amazing things?
You create time. We all have 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you just find time. You know, women can multi-skill. So we can do so many things at the same time.
I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. And then maybe go to Kiki, we saw a boyfriend. You know? And I'm like, you know, sometimes there's just so much work. And you do this, you do this, you do this. And I know that women love attention, right? And love attention not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way, yeah.
You know, but it's affection to them matters. Because of also that's why they mother so well, better than fathers, you know? But I'm just like wondering, like, how do we do the love? How do we do the mothering? How do we do the work? When do we do the research? Because there's also a lot of things that people don't know, that even as you do any work or any job, there's research that must be done consistently because trends are changing all the time. So I'm sure you're spending time.
Especially in
maybe what I'm asking, Orobalani.
Yeah.
I normally don't sleep before 1 a.m. Because I have so much to do before I sleep. And I believe in finishing my task for the day before I sleep. I don't believe in waking up and finishing a task. So I don't sleep until my task is complete.
You know, Mmuso, you always ask us, and I hope you're going to ask it. You know which question I'm talking about. That you always say someone must come back, right?
Of course, yes.
So I just want you not to forget to ask that question, because of I'll also say like, part of why we have these conversations also is that, you know, we do a lot of focus on leadership and vision and planning. And, you know, wanting to also build a culture of, you know, let's be accountable leaders. Because once you are accountable leaders and you are able to measure the growth of a leader who comes from this point and says that this is my point. So let's
start getting technicality. How long is your term at Nemisa? Your term as chairperson?
It's 3 years.
3 years. Were you appointed or were you elected?
Elected? No, appointed. So, yeah, the minister appoints the board of the public entities,
And that's the minister of, so that people know. Minister of which portfolio?
Of communications and digital technologies.
All right. Yeah. So, where are you in your term? Is it your first year, second year, final year?
First year, actually. We were appointed in October last year.
Okay.
So we're still quite new and we're changing a lot of things. So it's been quite a lot of work, actually.
So as chairperson, there must obviously be, you have a legacy to leave there, right? A legacy that is tied to the mandate of Nemisa. What legacy is it? What, after your 3 years, when you leave in October 2022, what would you say, like when you leave the office and you turn my box how daso, what would you have done that would make you feel like, you know what, I'm happy? What would you have achieved?
For me, what's very important is democratizing the digital skills. So if we can get to a point where Nemisa has fully democratized the digital skills in the country, I would say, and there is, so democratizing alone, it's not enough. But you still need, you know, the target audience or the beneficiaries that should benefit from this to be on board and to be passionate about what they're doing.
Please hold on. There's a caller. There is a caller. Dumelang Anonymous from Johannesburg. Hello.
Hi,
how are you?
I'm alright, and yourself?
I'm good. You know, Hamoto Areke Anon. I was like, is this like a name from like deep down in South Africa, da Kobo Eastern Cape, pick up a Northwest? How are you, madam?
Pardon?
How are you? Are you well?
I'm very well, thanks, and yourself?
No, I'm well. Thank you for calling in. Do you have a question for Auslebo?
Yes. I wanted to ask, does Nemisa offer any support to its alumni? For instance, if they want to do a production, does Nemisa help them?
Okay. Thank you very much. Anon? Auslebo?
It's a very good question. So through our learning management system that we're currently working on now, which we'll be launching very, very soon. We will have a platform for alumni where we will be supporting them in first the gaining experience and secondly in establishing their own SMMEs to whatever business that they would like to go into. So we're definitely going to have that in place as part of our LMS that will be launching soon.
Okay, and then we've got a question here on WhatsApp. What is the process of selecting a student at Nemisa? What is it that they are required to do?
So the selection criteria, it's not very well defined right now. It's part of the LMS that we're busy finalizing now, but we'll be launching the LMS very soon. So when I say soon, it's really soon. Within mid this year, we should be close to launching the LMS. So the selection criteria and what courses will be offered for the different disciplines will be all outlined in that LMS and during our launch process. So I cannot right now say what it will be because it also depends what the beneficiary or what the learner would like to do to study.
I mean, fair enough. So democratizing of Nemisa. That's you're still on a very, very important point.
Your legacy.
Yeah, your legacy. And I think it's important, because even yourself right now, you've set a big legacy for those that might not even know you. Today I just reading to say that, you went into engineering, you invested in a company, you yourself are an engineer, and now you're a chairperson. And there are bigger other dreams that you have. So I'm inspired. Me personally, I'm also inspired. I know that Mr. Matlala there.
Mr. Matlala is very inspired too.
And that's 2022. Then after 2022, where would you then say 2030? What does it look like after you've left this legacy, and now 2030 is here, and now we're sitting in a smart city? What does that look like?
So for me, I think what 2022 and beyond looks like, it's about the convergence of technology and infrastructure. So I would like to come up with a model of how the two can converge into creating smart solutions. So so what that means really, it's about, so if you're traveling on a road, you're going to drive into Polokwane, you should be able to see on your screen any potential dangers on the road, and that there is an accident about to happen 3 kilometers away from you. Maybe you should consider this route so that you're not delayed. And that should be, so you have infrastructure that constantly communicating with you, and without you having to log into an app and see what's going on. It just comes to you. So that is my dream, what I would like to do, to have that, to develop that model where you can have that convergence of technology and infrastructure.
I wouldn't really call it a dream. Like, seeing what you've achieved, I'd call it a vision, because I think that you will actually achieve that, and it may not necessarily be in 2030, but it will be achieved. I mean, given everything that we've spoken about, and what moves you, how you were appointed CEO, how you became chairperson. I mean, those are all milestones that were reached, and you achieved things you didn't even dream about, becoming a civil engineer. So imagine when you actually vision something, what you're going to achieve. And I want to ask something else. So I've observed that you actually a very soft, not very, but you're a soft-spoken person or calm person, right? So many people think of powerhouses as, like people who are very aggressive in their speech, in their demeanor, but you're very gentle.
Are you always this gentle? Gotta hang out there and Are you always this gentle?
Yeah, so I think one of my strengths really is calmness. So in the midst of chaos, I'll be the calmest in the room, and but for me, it's because I'm centered. So I'm not very much influenced by circumstances around me.
Yeah.
So I try to be centered in whatever situation I find myself in. So I'm very calm, but very strict as well.
Serious?
Should ask my my team. Yeah, so they find, but I'm generally very calm. Very understanding, but when I want something, I want it. Like no stories.
So that's the point I wanted to make. Really, that many people think that you have to have this comical or aggressive or type of demeanor and personality. But here you are, very well accomplished. You're a leader. And you're talking to us like this. You're like, yeah, well, my vision is. So that means that your leadership roles were actually based on the content of your character and your mental capacity, your emotional IQ, EQ. It was like you're very well poised. Like you're a very poised person. Like I'm a pretty like.
I'm joking. I'm joking, guys. I'm joking.
So and that's the thing. Like I've read a lot of books on the power of concentration and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You look like that type of person. Like when you're running late, you still just walking. Like you're not really gonna like.
You're not a
be in
panic
hurry.
machine.
You don't get too excited. Like that's actually pretty cool. I think I'm actually gonna.
Are you gonna? Do you wanna practice?
I'm gonna practice this.
Because I meditate, right?
I also meditate. And I do yoga.
I nearly did a high five. Then I'm like, no,
social distancing. Yeah.
Do you do? Is that once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week?
I alternate. I run yoga. Yeah.
Okay,
because
I went to I went on a sabbatical for two weeks in India, and I always tell my friends about this. But the magic that it did for me. Right, because it's like, for me, I call it the school of life, and every single day you wake up, you come in, and you talk to different groups and share your experiences, and you meditate literally for 6 hours a day.
Wow.
Absolutely. I also meditate, by the way,
6
guys.
hours a day.
I also meditate, and you can tell that you meditate. This guy, you can also tell that he meditates. Like, I know him, like, we're very close. He meditates for sure. And it's that thing when you said you centered, and meditation affords you that thing where you are not... external factors do not have an influence on how you're going to act in a particular situation or how you're going to deal with things, and then you deal with it even better. So basically it teaches you mental strength. It's mental strength, self-control, and I think keep it up. And meditation is actually very important.
Be still. Just be still. Now, what is the one thing that you remember as a young girl? That one thing that you remember, that every single time you think about, you're like, it's like, what's your one fondest, greatest memory as a young girl?
So Amajaju was full of mango trees. So I used to climb trees a lot to go get mangoes and stuff.
How many times did you fall?
I've never fallen.
Which is a good thing, right? Because it means that you see planning, calmness, vision when you climb the tree.
Climbing.
So that's why you keep going up and up and up in everything that you're doing. Because of Babang it's fine. I'll catch up. I'll be there. So everything in time. So your first bite of a mango. In was it juicy? Did you pick the wrong?
The one that you picked yourself.
One thing about mangoes, once you understand them, so once you find the best one, you can see it. No one has to tell you that's the best mango. It's the tastiest. You can see it. And so that one, you don't even wait to get down to start eating it. You start eating it while you're still on top.
And you still didn't fall. You still didn't fall.
Now, okay, so fine, you have your first mango. It's an experience. Others will tell different stories about, how my first taste, of this thing. But let's just imagine just for a second. This was like your last day and you had to say, what would your last words to your kids be? You know, if they said that today's your voice from tomorrow, what would your last message to your kids be?
I would say that they should believe in themselves and they should never stop dreaming and chasing their dreams, and that nothing is impossible.
Okay. Would you ever run to be president of South Africa?
If politics could change in its makeup and the complexities around it, I think I'll consider it.
Okay.
Not in its current makeup.
Not party politics.
Not party politics, eh?
Not party politics.
No. Lena like politics in a video saying your favorite music artist.
I love music. My favorite? Oh man, sure, that's a difficult question.
Aretha Franklin or Marvin Gaye? Maybe let me put.
I love Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
I love Aretha.
Okay.
Sure. That's a difficult one. I love Keiko Matsui. I love
Papa Penny. Do you like Papa Penny?
I love Monada.
You know
King
Monada, gents.
I love.
I think that's bias. That's not really love.
No.
That is bias.
But you know,
that is a biased preference.
This is the respect, and you know, and you know, Limpopo. They support their music, they support their artists, and I gotta say salute for you, you know, because we like Monada, you know, ska bora moreki cho.
Oh yeah.
Because batho ba bangata ba bora bareki.
Plus ke moreki ke CEO, ska ba ke moreki, that is why rata ke Monada o pella
yena. Do you dance in your spare time, like whatever?
Yeah, you can find me actually on Fridays. Me and my kids play YouTube videos and dance. You'll find us dancing to Jerusalem.
Highway, Naman.
Master KG.
Highway, Naman.
Malwede, you know. So, I love dancing.
Do you know how to sing? Is it a hidden talent? I always say that I've got a hidden talent in singing, but
it's really hidden.
It's really hidden.
Forever.
Yeah, so
that's true.
Mine is also very hidden, really hidden. It's hidden. I must say, I'm not a singer, so I've got a hidden talent. Yeah,
got a great hidden talent. Your favorite lecturer?
My favorite lecturer. So that must be Professor Makachin. I think I loved his energy.
Yeah.
And he was always very energetic in class, jumping from there to there. And then there were no projectors, you know. We were using those overhead projectors, you know, where you write.
Then you put a clear piece there.
Yeah, so I would say he was my favorite lecturer.
Athletics or soccer?
Definitely soccer. I love soccer.
Favorite team?
I would say Arsenal.
South African?
Orlando Pirates.
Good, you went wrong and wrong. Arsenal, Orlando Pirates, like.
Now, because it's Africa Month, what would we say to the African girl child?
To the African girl child, I would say the same thing I'll say to my kids, because I see them as my kids as well.
Yeah.
That they should keep on believing themselves, not the circumstances that they're in.
Yeah.
And nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
Just because they are disadvantaged right now doesn't mean they remain disadvantaged.
Yes.
They can still achieve big things.
Yeah.
If they believe in themselves and work hard.
So we've worked hard. We've gotten to at least get a bit of knowledge on your background. And I think a lot of times it was important for just a young girl, you know, who's probably saying that there's no hope in life, you know, and we want to breed a sense of hope to young kids. You know, Mmuso knows. I'm passionate about communities, townships and rural. I was born Gomagapanstata. Went to Mafikeng, and this is the one thing the Botswana government did for me at the time, was that it created platforms which opened my mind up. There were gymnastic halls that were for free, there were acting schools that were for free, there was the pop recording studios that were accessible for free, and we got to see what radio can do, what television. We had our own stars. We got to see black ministers and so forth. For you, what is the one thing that you could say that at the time, even in Limpopo, was the thing that just really just like, it just made like this? Because I know you spoke about the fact that, then I said I wanted to do civil engineering. That moment when it happened, what was it? Because you talk about innovation a lot, and it's like, how more to bula type is it that in your community that influenced you to become the innovator that you are?
In my community, I would say, it's the everyday challenges that we, as people in the urban areas, will take for granted.
Yeah.
And I would say, for me, what inspired me was to say, it doesn't mean that being in the rural area, you are less important or you are less capable of achieving great things.
Yeah.
And, one important thing I'll say is when you dream big.
Yeah.
Or you go home.
Yeah.
And if you can have the big dreams.
Yeah.
And don't consider what is the current status quo, but look beyond the status quo. Is what I would say keep on inspiring me to look beyond what is currently there, the challenges.
Are you fearless?
I would think I am.
Yeah.
In a quiet way. I think I'm a very brave person. I'm not scared of taking risk.
Yeah.
But what's important is that you take calculated risk.
Of course.
And just to ensure that when you fail quick, but stand up quickly and try again.
Before I know Redzwala, I'm very passionate about the boy child. I think a lot of times, we tend to forget that the boy child is also impacted the same as the young girl is impacted.
Sure.
A lot of young boys grew up without dads. They didn't grow up without a lot of role models. Our role models in Nilebo Mamarona. And I think a lot of times also it's important for young men to understand that the impact you do to a sister, all right? It's like you're doing it to your mom. We want to talk to our young boys to be more responsible. We understand that they say that tigers don't cry, but it's important for tigers to cry.
True.
And I want young boys to hear from a mom the importance of just self-belief and self-discipline and the ability to learn to talk about what is inside their hearts.
Sure.
So what would you say to a boy child? Because I spoke about the African girl child. I want us to talk about the African boy child.
For the African boy child, I would say, I think a lot of stereotype has affected the way that our boy children think and how they position themselves in the bigger scheme of things.
Society, yeah.
So it's to consider them equals to women and not consider themselves as superior. Because we're all the same. We're all human beings at the end of the day. The fact that I'm a woman or a man doesn't mean I'm less capable of anything or you are more capable of anything else. So it's to respect women as human beings like themselves and not to be in competition with the women. As if being a man, you are endowed with, some genius juices that women don't. So it's also for them to work hard and respect women and to support, this world now, it's about collaboration. And the more we can work together to collaborate, and men and women, I always say to the team, we've got different strengths and different weaknesses. And if we can work together, we can actually complement one another. Because my strengths are your weakness and your weaknesses are my strengths.
Exactly.
So the collaboration just builds a powerhouse. So I would say that should see themselves more in a collaborative environment with women.
I think the perfect metaphor would be the reproductive metaphor.
Yeah.
In that, just as much as we take roles reproductively, a man brings semen woman carries the child.
Yeah.
Just like in social life, there must be collaboration that mirrors that, and we'll have perfect harmony.
Absolutely.
Nemisa is very proud of you, our board chairperson. Thank you for sharing with South Africans the real mandate of our organization, more especially the value that is added to the community out there. HR from Anna Motlo.
I think that's a great way.
Oh.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
A lot.
We really, really appreciate it. We don't take it for granted that you took your time today to be here with us and just to share pearls of wisdom. Not only to borrow nabasha, but I think we're gonna have cool sessions even in future. We'll meditate.
Oh yes,
we'll
you need to come
together.
back to tell us how the vision plan, like your legacy, how it's working out next year and 2022 when you leave office to give us, because we're holding you accountable.
That's awesome. I'm actually inviting you to be part of our launch for the Nemisa LMS.
Come on.
I mean, what is really noble about this is that our courses will be zero rated.
Okay.
Will be data zero rated.
Oh,
so
lovely.
people can access the content free of charge. So we would love for you to be part of our launch. So we will invite you.
Is there going to be food?
We'll do a broadcast there. Actually, could we do a broadcast there?
That would be awesome.
That will be awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Conversational Radio TV every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Great conversations with great leaders. We had Ndade Tabi Sotsotetse, Reswere Aus Lebsa.
Yes. Baritone.
So, DJ Mbila is going to sign us off. As we say, happy Friday, be good.
Happy
behave
50
yourself.
days.
Happy 50 days of lockdown.
Can't be happy.
You know, I was wondering if Neginyetso or na lockdown again.
I don't think we'd have you here. I think. Or we would have lost you some other way.
I want to say thank you very much to our team for always, just bringing the best foot forward. To the Lima team, Conrad team, TBC, Gateway Media, producer Ntabi for doing the most.
Ntabi,
listen here, Ntabi, wherever you are, fantastic. Guys, check out Nemisa, go on Google, check out the opportunities that are there. It's there. It's a great academy. I've gotten the pleasure to go there and see what the kids have been doing. And I look forward to the 2D and 3D animation because that's my love, right? Because I really educate them very, very soon. So, happy living. Baba Nyetsing.
Mbila.
It's Conrad TV, no hearsay. Hey, one thing is certain, it's gonna be crazy, yo.
Conversational Radio TV, just different.
Hey.